Hello, I'm Chantelle Nicholson, Chef Patron of Tredwells. Today I'm going to be showing you 3 vegetarian recipes for you to share with friends and family at Christmas time, cooked on sous vide. So we're going to seal in all those delicious juices and have something great to be able to share at Christmas time. First dish we're going to be making today is a butternut squash terrine. We're going to be pairing that with some rosemary and brown butter and creating a lovely little terrine, which is obviously being cooked in the water bath. It's also served with some wonderful vacherin, one of my favourite winter cheeses. Obviously not made with vegetarian rennet, so if you do have strict vegetarians, then there's lots of alternatives for that as well. Also served with some fresh chestnuts to create a great starter for Christmas Day. So we're going to start by prepping the butternut squash, peeling it, slicing it and getting it all ready for the terrine. Okay, so we're going to create slices of the squash. You want them about 2 to 3 millimeters thick. If you do have a mandolin, it will make this job a little bit more easy. So we've got the butternut squash here nicely sliced. We're just going to cut it into a nice rectangle. Okay, we're going to be making the brown butter next. So we're going to start with 2 tablespoons of finely chopped rosemary, which we're going to add into the brown butter. Do take the time to chop this nice and fine because it will create more flavour and also will be a little bit more pleasant to eat. You hob on, pan on the hob, butter in the pan, salt and rosemary. So when you're making brown butter, you make it over quite a high heat. Obviously it's important to keep everything moving as well because the bottom of the pan is going to caramelise a lot quicker. You'll see it starting to turn a beautiful golden colour, so keep it on for another minute or so longer and remove it in plenty of time because it will continue to cook with the heat of the pan. To assemble the terrine, start with the first slice, turn it over, nice pastry brush into the brown butter. So just brush that liberally over each slice and continue to layer. Mop up any remaining butter that's gone onto your board, make sure it's really well covered. And then we're going to put it into the sous vide bag. And then all the remaining butter we're going to pour in the bag as well. When you seal it, you want it to be as close as you can get to the terrine. We're going to pop that into the water bath, which has been preheated to 80 degrees. So after an hour, we're going to take it out, pop it in the fridge for 6 hours so it can chill, and then we'll slice it and cook it. So here's one we prepared earlier. I'm going to get the pan nice and hot. Generous amount of oil in there as well, and let that heat up. So we're going to portion it up into 4 pieces. It's quite rich, the dish, so that's why we're just using a small amount. Plus it's also Christmas, so you want to save room for pudding. So we're going to pop the terrine in and listen for the sizzle. While that's browning, we're just going to prepare the chestnuts. It's nice to have a bit of different texture, so we're going to slice some and then we can finally grate some as well. So when it's nice and golden, let's just gently flip those over. It can be quite delicate, so don't be too heavy-handed with it. So again, once the bottom's starting to caramelise, we're going to add in some of that wonderful rosemary butter, baste it over so the heat's going to go right through to the middle of the terrine. So now we're ready to plate. Don't worry about draining off too much of the butter, because that's where all the flavour is, that beautiful burnt butter with rosemary. So gently place that onto the plate. Now we've got the wonderful vacherin to add to it. Again, a really super gooey cheese, so you just need to scoop out a little bit of it, dot that on top, and it's going to ooze over the terrine. So we're going to finish off with the chestnuts, obviously sliced, and then we're going to microplane some over the top as well, just to add a little bit of different texture to the plate. And don't forget a little bit of that butter as well, just to add to the flavour. And we're going to finish with a little bit of tarragon cress. So there we have it, perfect Christmas starter. Butternut squash terrine with rosemary and brown butter, a lovely scoop of vacherin on top, and fresh chestnuts. On to our main course now. We've got slow cooked sous vide field mushrooms with thyme, garlic and Madeira. And we're going to serve those with some caramelised celeriac puree and celeriac remoulade. Okay, so if we turn the pan on, put the Madeira into the pan, we're going to reduce that. So keep that on quite a high heat. I'm going to pick some thyme into it as well to infuse it. The reduction will take about 5 minutes. We just want to get it to more of a syrup consistency. It's reduced now to about half. So we're going to start whisking in the butter. Just turn down the heat slightly. It'll start to take on a nice glossy appearance. Always use unsalted butter when you're cooking as well, so you can add the seasoning. Ready to go. So this is a celeriac, not the most beautiful of vegetables, but it has a great flavour, really good roasted and caramelised, which is what we're going to do today. Also good raw, great for a remoulade. So here's one already peeled. What you want to do is make a nice square to be able to do the julienne for the remoulade, and then all the trim we use for the puree. Okay, so light the pan, pop in a good knob of butter in there. Once the butter's melted, add the celeriac, season, and then allow it to caramelise. So while the celeriac's cooking, we're going to prepare the mushrooms. So great to find the largest mushrooms you can find. So we're just going to start by just peeling the outer layer off, and then also just remove the stalk. So per person you're looking at either one really large mushroom or two kind of medium-sized ones. To finish off the emulsion, just add a little bit of microplaned garlic. Okay, so we've got the large sous vide bag for the mushrooms. So place the mushrooms into the bag, and then we're going to pour the emulsion into the bag as well. And then we're going to vac pack that. We're going to put those into the water bath, 70 degrees, for about an hour. As there's going to be a little bit more air in this bag, we might need to weigh it down. So anything you've got that's heavy, just pop that on top. So while the mushrooms are cooking, celeriac's ready to go now. Beautiful golden caramelised colour. We're going to add the 100 ml of milk to this, blitz it until it's really nice and smooth, pass it through a fine sieve to remove any lumps. So here's a celeriac puree that I made earlier. This is the way you want it to look, really nice and silky smooth. So just keep that on a really low heat, nice and warm, ready for when we take the mushrooms out. So the final garnish for this mushroom dish is a celeriac remoulade. So it's celeriac that's been finely julienned. It's served raw, gives it a little bit of texture and crunch to the dish, adds a little bit of freshness. So we're going to add to it a ranch dressing, which is creme fraiche, good quality mayonnaise, mustard, parsley, and a touch of lemon zest. Don't make this too far in advance, because obviously with the salt and the lemon, the celeriac will start to break down, so it'll start to go a little bit soggy, and we want the nice vibrant crunch. The mushrooms have had their hour in the water bath at 70 degrees, so we're going to take those out. We're going to pop them under the grill just to give them a bit of extra heat before serving. Okay, so these have had their 10 minutes under the grill. So now I've got all the components ready. We're going to put a spoon of that hot celeriac puree on the plate. Be quite generous with it. As I said before, it's got a delicious flavour to it. So mushrooms going on. And top with the remoulade. And then just finish with a little bit of thyme cress, just to add a little bit more of a savoury freshness to it. And there we are, Christmas main course done. So our final dish today is a side dish of the humble Brussels sprout. Love them or hate them, this one's going to make you love them. So we've got sprouts and sprout tops with miso butter, cooked on sous vide. Then we're going to finish them with some chopped roasted cashew nuts and chopped tarragon. First thing we're going to do is make the miso butter. So the miso paste into a bowl. We've got 30 grams of miso to 100 grams of soft butter. So we're just going to whisk those ingredients together. Next we're going to prep the sprouts, which is just a matter of taking off the small root attachment at the bottom. If they're quite large as well, we need to halve them. We want them to be all the same size when we're cooking them, so they all cook at the same time. So once the sprouts are prepped, into your sous vide bag. Also add a couple of bay leaves, just to give an extra element of flavour. And then the miso butter, we're going to put half the miso butter in there, and the other half we're going to use for the tops. Seal those up. We're going to pop them in the water bath for 45 minutes at 70 degrees. Obviously the sprouts are going to take a lot longer to cook than the sprout tops, which are much thinner. So these will go in, again with miso butter, but just for the last 20 minutes of cooking we're going to pop these in as well. So the garnish for our sprouts, we've got some roasted chopped cashew nut, and then also a little bit of fresh chopped tarragon. So then it's just about taking everything out of the water bath, mixing it all together, and you've got yourself a great, quite simple side dish. So there you have it, our 3 vegetarian Christmas Day dishes. Sous vide is a great method of cookery. It's going to really seal in all the flavours. You're going to get a great result at the end of it, plus it's really simple. So enjoy the dishes and have a lovely Christmas.